Luscious green grass, the breeze of acacia trees, and the bustling atmosphere of students rushing to their classes. This is the picturesque scene of Silliman University. But in between the bustle, there is a sound of tranquility. And if one listens close enough, there are stories that lie beneath, unraveling its rich history, however eerie it can sometimes be.
My friends always told me na Miss Silliman goes will always kanang magparamdam siya sa mga dormer around, like if hapit na yan ni Miss Silliman, like around August, like Hibalag season. So like there are times na di ba like around August kay midterm week kay na or just like exams. So nag-study mi sa ako ang roommate sa like study room na may study room sa. Then like around 12 midnight to siya. Na-shock lang mi kay naka-hear me og like kanang tuk 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 ganon. Pag open na mo sa door kay like walay tao, dahil balik na pad mi, dahil indoor lang na mo. So like after pila ka hours kay ako na po lakas kayo inana tuk 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 tuk, so like we're scary kay siya. So mo to nag-decide lang mi na ako balik na lang mi sa amo ang room kay kanang na disturbing kay siya.
So for me, I'm somebody that at the start of the line, while people wait for their turn to go into the chambers, I tell them like stories. So like the entire horde chamber for the first 2 nights, we did 5 nights this year during Hibalag 2023. And the first 2 nights, not really, no events, nothing really happened. And the third night, that's when things started happening that we were not, like we didn't do that. And then so, wato na sa third night, while I was telling my usual stories, about an hour in, meaning everybody's already working the entire night, an hour into the third night, the histopulsi door, the office door, started knocking from the inside. And then the people that were waiting there, they actually heard it with me and they got scared. And then so I just thought maybe sa sulod to try to rationalize it. I didn't get scared at all. Pero 5 groups later, when I added that to my list of stories, the knocking actually grew louder and the windows of the office started shaking. And then, nobody can actually deny that. No one hit the boat. And then so, 4th night, I guess like as the events progressed, yeah, it's like the lights started flickering on and off wood. And for the first 2 nights, we actually like try to experiment with that. And you need 2 people on both sides of like the floor, of every floor in AH to actually get like the whole flicking on and off effect. So the 4th night, and including the 5th, the lights started flickering on and off on multiple floors. Everybody started taking their phones out when the lights started flickering. And they look up at the 4th floor of AH and they see like a really tall black figure, and they don't know if it's like an actor of ours or not, but everybody, like including me, everybody was so busy, part of the horror chamber team, we didn't know what was happening. We weren't sure who was up there because the closest person, the closest actor that actually fit that description, his name's JM, and he's like the tallest person of our team, but he was in chamber 3 the entire night. So we don't know who was up there on the 4th floor. And when people started taking pictures and the pictures that were posted on people's stories or started surfacing on Facebook, they were actually like really black. Like you can't see the person's face, and it was there for about like 4 or 5 seconds and it just like faded into the shadows.
When I was in senior high, my friends and I, we had our nightly practices for one of our plays. And then we all just like planned to just stroll around in the campus, and we just wanted to, just walk around because like why not? And then we passed by the nursing building, which is the MMS. And then one of my friends, she saw an orange man standing at the second floor. It's just like staring down at us. And we noticed that like she wasn't talking at all. She was like frozen, like on the spot. Then she was like telling me like, did you see it? I'm like, see what? Like, you can feel something, right? And I'm like, yeah. Like I can feel like something like up there, but like I can't really see it. And she's like, okay, like try to relax and like try to open your third eye. And that's when I understand what she was saying. And then one of my other friends, he was like, what did you two see? What did you two see? And he's like, oh, there's just like this orange man like staring down at us. And like he panics a lot. And we told him like not to panic at all because like it's gonna make it worse, or like spirits like to go for people who are weak. And so we just walk out and just thought that it never happened.
First, I guess we'll just have to understand that people tend to sometimes believe in things, especially if they hear it from many people. So there's that chain of transmission. And sometimes, again, it's just perhaps nature of humans to really try to get into the action of things as well. When you talk about stories, especially when you look into these stories associated with ghosts, stories associated with the fantastical, these belong to our realm of the folkloric or the folklore. So folklore is really part of our culture. And for people, again, that believe on things that they have not seen, I mean, it's not always nga to cease to believe on God. We listen to stories. And when we relate to the stories, when we have this some sort of attachment or emotional attachment to the story, especially if you are, for example, a freshman here in Silliman, you'll begin to wonder as well. It started with a phenomenon. It happened. And there are certain accounts about those things. And then people pass it on from generation to generation. So there is an element of truth to anything, to everything. Especially when you talk about folklore, you cannot say it's not true. You cannot also say it's true. It's between. How much truth to it? Who knows? But there is an element of truth to that. But because once it has been passed on from generation to generation, the story becomes the story of the people. There's no one author. So we become part of the story. So we put our own flair, artistic flair to the story. We add and sometimes we subtract. Sometimes we forget, so therefore we tend to put other stuff to it. When you talk about telling stories, for example, horror stories, it's like a performance from someone who is telling the story. Someone, or for example, in your barkada, there is that particular person who is really very good when it comes to telling stories. It is a performance. So therefore, when you perform, you have to make sure that you deliver it properly, or your audience will believe in whatever you say. So how will you deliver that? Via your words, via your facial expression and other things as well. So it becomes something as a reality and again, a performance as well.
Beyond the eeriness entailed in these stories is a chronicle that reflects the conquers withstood by Silliman University. Our partaking in significant sojourns of the past intertwines every foretelling with an element of truth, depicting the degree of this combat surpassed, pushing Silliman to be more than just a hallmark of education, but a heritage of a rich history.